United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Hi, Nancy. Ken, Ed, Kathy, Josh, Dick, Kathy, Scott. Do we need to give a shout out to Annie?
We
have a quorum.
Yeah,
no, we don't.
Eugene and Cap. There's three of you.
Yeah. I'm still learning how to count.
Cora, you're doing
Art,
too much.
And Dick.
She's in
Albany, yes, I know. I talked to her.
And then the neighborhood watch.
How'd that go last night?
We have such a great new group.
Was a good guy. I had my Fish and Wildlife board meeting last
I
night.
wasn't there.
I was in the Chamber of Commerce.
No, you don't.
Okay, who gets the most points for doing the most number of meetings before an 8 o'clock meeting?
Who cares?
We were all everywhere.
It doesn't matter.
Here she comes.
You can win. You'll win for
Where's
distance
all
drive.
the agendas?
No, I'm not stressed.
You don't have one today. You're leaving at 4 because you look tired.
Wasn't it in your box? I didn't put one in your box, I'm sorry.
All righty.
You need one?
I have them, but I'm going to pass it to Cap.
Anybody check the Powerball tickets? See if anybody from New York won? So I can go home.
One ticket.
You're on.
One ticket.
Oh, come on.
No, but there were 4 in New York, New Jersey that could get a million. Oh. Nancy, would you like one?
I hope it was like 10 people from a group that won it. You know what I mean? Like last time it was like, yeah, but it could be one ticket from like a group of 20.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Art, okay, rewind.
Alex.
Thank you. Can you just give the 30-second in the elevator overview of where we are right now?
Did you call order? Yeah.
I call this meeting to order.
Roll call.
And roll call.
Mrs. Edwards.
Here.
Mr. Benson.
Here.
Thank you,
Mrs.
Scott.
Labuda.
Yeah.
Mr. Sorensen. Mr. Steingart.
Okay, so we have 2 rounds of grants which we need to get expended. Round 1 grant, which at this point is set to expire end of March.
I'm going to rephrase the language that we are going to complete phase 1 of the project by March 31st.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
And
Morning,
then
Al.
round 2, which will fund another tower. And that will go, and that grant, I think we have a pending extension, which will take us into the end of 2014 to complete the tasks with that project. First grant is funding 3 of the towers. The second grant is funding 1 of the towers, so it's a total of 4. So what we hope to do, we're putting a team together of construction managers, project managers. We're getting some soil boring started, and we'd like to kind of get the team together and begin work on the initial 4 towers that are funded through the 2 grants. And then about this time next year, Motorola is going to want to start doing their work to hang the equipment on the towers, and then hopefully by mid-2015 we'd be looking to launch the new radio system. So it's kind of the tentative schedule or agenda we're on now.
So what I'd like to propose, just in terms of definition of terms, is that we are now in the construction phase, right? So the towers that you talked about that need to be constructed by the 31st of March is phase 1. That ties with round 1 funding, although there's other wheels going on in terms of engineering and radio consoles and so on. And then phase 2, which is also simultaneously going on, right, with phase 1?
Correct.
But just for the purposes of how the grant is constructed, phase 2 is the remaining tower and the rest of the software, and then phase 3 is the Motorola phase, the 2015 phase, okay? Just so that we're in tandem with those kinds of deadlines. My understanding is that I don't actually have the figures. It was on a PowerPoint yesterday. I was at the Department of Homeland Security committee meeting, and Larissa is a person who just showed where all the counties are in all of their round 1 and round 2, and we're one of 4 counties that is at 0 in terms of starting this phase, construction phase. So we're not so bad. I mean, we want to be able to finish phase 1 by March
Say
31st.
zero, you need expenditures, we haven't
Yes.
incurred anything of that, but there's been planning along that's been going on.
There's been planning that's going along, but I thought we were in a worse situation than we are when you look at where all the counties
Right.
are. I think it's maybe 6 counties that have finished round 1 100%, and the rest are scattered through 75%, 25%, and 0%. That's why I want to change the language from spending down and expenditures to completion of the project, or completion of phase 1. I think that is a more accurate way of describing what we need to do. So there are 4 resolutions. Who's going to talk us through each one? Are they all together? How are we going to do this part?
Well, Cora, with the way it's laid out, we want to do the first one in terms of the soil boring.
Okay, so let's go through that one first.
Okay, the first one, the proposal is that we received an acceptable proposal from Geotechnical Soil Drillings and Investigations. Their cost would be broke down to do 4 of the tower sites at $22,000, which would come from the grant, and that would be $11,000 for the other 2 tower sites, which would come to $11,000. Okay, so that's the 6 towers. And we have checked them out. They're a very good company. They're doing some work for some of the other counties. And we believe that they are a good company to have do this work. And they're ready to go to work next week if we can get the contract signed and all the other, if you approve it.
So I'll move that.
Second.
I'll second.
So moved. Now we're going to call for a vote. All in favor? Thank you.
Okay, the second one, second resolution is for we've combined the construction management services, the project management services, and radio consulting services, including the standards of operation and training for the emergency communications upgrade project. The lowest bidder was Blue Wing. They came in at $127,550.
And 15 cents.
And 15 cents. And the money that would be allocated for payment for them, $102,040 would come out of the grant, and $25,510 would come out of other resources that we have. Okay, again, they're going to be doing the 4 towers and then also doing the other 2 towers, which are not part of the grant that we're currently spending down.
I'll move that.
I'll second as well.
Okay, just so that we're clear, the language is completion of the project as opposed to spending down, because that,
Right, this is a project, this isn't just to spend the money.
The money's
Thank
already
you.
budgeted.
Yes. Yep, we're okay.
I'm just trying to change the language.
Okay. That's a very important
You're
one for
becoming an
us.
attorney these days, huh?
I'm sorry?
You becoming an attorney these days?
I'll tell you what happened yesterday when we're
She's
done
still
with
honest.
this.
Okay, the
Call
third,
the question, please.
Call the question.
Yeah.
Vote.
4-0.
okay. The third is to authorize the award and execution of the contract to Chazen Companies. This is the folks that we've been working with, and if you look at the second page of the breakdown of costs, we have $20,850, which will have to come out of some other revenues that we have, county revenues. That is work that they're going to do for completing the towers over on the Delaware River, the 2 towers. And by the way, we're going to do 100% of everything that we can do, including the balloon package, floating the balloons for the view shed, and making sure that we are in complete compliance with any requirements along the Delaware River, and working with the Park Service and the folks over there, because that's a
Good.
sensitivity over the
So
lower part.
if we look at page 1, it says that this is the code line that's coming out of H533997404006, right?
Yes.
This county cost.
Yep, and we do have the money. We've got some revenues that are available. And then we're going to go back and do some view sheds on the other 4 towers, just to be 100% in compliance, meaning we're going to go over and beyond what's required, okay, is what I'm saying. That would be $8,555, okay?
Right.
So,
Move it.
Kathy?
I'll second it. Discussion?
Yes.
Yeah, just one observation on the visual assessment. The nature of the tower could theoretically change based on the visual assessment, because some towers have less visual impact than others. So I just put that out there as an observation, just as you're going through the process, to keep that in mind, so that if geotechnical is, doing their analysis based on a specific type of tower, they just may want to wait until you get the visual assessment.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Alan, because we specifically reached out to the National Park Service.
Okay.
They'll be there present when the balloon test goes up.
Yeah.
They also have very valuable information of what's going on the Pennsylvania side that they've
Sure.
been helping with us. They're really you couldn't ask for better partners. They're supportive of it. They get it. They know, how valuable the Delaware River is, probably more than anybody, because they deal with New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. So, you're welcome to be there when the balloon test happens as well.
Yeah,
Attended
Superintendent.
quite a few of them over the years.
Yeah.
Superintendent McGinnis has been very, very good Alan to work with.
Oh,
And
that's good.
also, he has another reason to be even more cooperative, is he wants to share some space
Based
on
on,
our
I know
towers.
there's a need for service there too.
Yes, very much so. So
It's not
that'll
gonna
be
be one of those phony pine tree towers like they have in central Pennsylvania, is it?
Well, if there's no pine trees over there, we'll come up with something else.
Phony maple.
We'll come up with a maple
A phony
tree
maple,
with changing
okay.
leaves on it.
All right, even better. It's like a Christmas tree.
Okay, any other questions? So I'll call the question. All in favor?
4-0.
All right. I thought I had requested a
We have one
certificate.
more.
Oh, I'm already there, sorry.
Okay, we have one more. The second is to award the execution of a contract to Carousel Industries. We have a grant reference to a new phone system.
Oh, this is the biggie. Sorry.
Right, at the 911 center. This award would be awarded to the lowest bidder, which is Carousel, at $583,853.15.
Oh, there's.
That's the 15 cents. Now, this one is a very big one for us. Number one, we have more than enough money to cover this particular installation. We're going to buy the system. We're not going to lease it. We're buying it. But what's coming with it is a 5-year maintenance. Okay, and that's important to us because we're paying between $60,000 and $70,000 a year now with our current system. Now, Verizon is all done, or would like to withdraw from the system that we have now around December 31st, because they're no longer saying that it's under warranty and under their management. So they have pretty much forced our hand that we have a timeline here that we've got to get moving. Carousel, we've checked them out. They're doing work in a number of counties, and we believe that the home run for it, not only the low price, because we've checked their ability to respond to our calls and so forth, but this maintenance for 5 years is absolutely a lifesaver for us.
Do we have any provision in there for them to train one of our employees to do maintenance on the system?
I do not believe so, no. They'll train our employees how to run the system and all that. When I say run, operate it.
I understand.
But and
But
when you
I'm
get
talking
into
about
the
maintenance.
technical, we haven't approached them with that.
Just a thought.
It's a
Okay.
good consideration. And part of it is also because of the way that the future is moving in terms of telecommunications. That's what happened up in Albany yesterday. They had someone from the Boston Marathon come and just do a breakdown of what happened. It was a planned event, right? The Boston Marathon became an emergency event, and then it became, unfortunately for the funerals, another planned event. And that is a critical issue in terms of people being able to, in those kinds of emergency preparedness situations, have the technical know-how. You can't just call in Carousel when you're in the midst of an emergency. So I think if there's any way to take
We can talk
James'
to them
point
about it. I mean,
on-
it's not part of the
I-
bid contract, but we can sure enough talk to them about it.
Or we
Yes.
can put it into a future grant as
Yeah.
a line item.
Right.
for
We have to start
sustainability.
thinking down the road, as opposed to, let's do it right now and worry about it later. We have to start planning ahead.
I agree.
I'll move it.
Okay, all in favor?
Second.
Second, sorry, Alan. All in favor? Okay. So back to my other question, I thought we were gonna have certificates of availability with all of these. Do we know what's happening with those?
Yeah,
They're attached.
They're attached.
to the
Where are they?
resolution.
they're all
Right here.
been-
It's just a C in
remember
here.
the form
Remember
change?
we combined
Oh.
them into.
We're good, Carl.
I know you are. You guys are ahead of me.
We've done.
I'm catching up. I'm catching
I
up.
do want to please give accolades not only to Alex and the work that he's doing and maintaining our system at the same time, but Art Hussey, who's been a lifesaver to us, and he's got a lot on his plate. I'm tying him up when I say with all the grants that I have, and my grants, as you all know, the money that I can accumulate through the Homeland Security grants is all going to this radio system, with just a little piece going to some other equipment that we have to purchase outside of radio. But everything is going in there, trying to hold the cost down as best we can. And also to Kathy Jones, Kathy's here. Kathy's been spectacular. I mean, we sat down at some of our panel meetings, and poor Kathy, when she went out, I would have been spinning my head. She had more notes than we came in with questions. And she's done a fantastic job for us. And also the support of the county manager and helping us to walk the ways of the money and so forth. We've got a great team going.
And
I hope
Ed's
that-
behind you.
Oh,
Sorry about
yes,
Ed,
I'm
don't forget
sorry.
about Ed.
Oh, yes, please. The long hands of the
Yeah.
commissioner. Ed has been fantastic to give us some guidance in terms of how construction can be done, some of the pitfalls. He knows some of the vendors, so we had an opportunity because he's had experience having them work with us. So we've got a very good team working for you, and hopefully with the passing, hopefully this afternoon, of these resolutions, we're going to get to work. My big thing is, everybody knows, we got $1.2 million that we've got to spend by the end of March.
We have to complete it.
We've got to complete it by the end of March.
31st.
So the time clock is ticking, okay? We can go through all kinds of scenarios why it's taken so long. That's not where we need to be talking. We need to get to work. So hopefully that's going to happen. We'll all pray for a nice winter so that our construction people can do what they got to do. And we'll be coming back to you with some other requests for resolutions when we get into the towers and the work that's going to be done there. So we thank everybody for their cooperation.
Thank you, Dick, for mentioning that. So I just want to make sure I'm clear in my mind that as we go forward, we are now on two tracks. One is when this team comes together and whoever else is, you know, part of that team, it's going to expand. One track of this team is doing the compliance on the grant, and the other track is keeping eyes on the construction schedule. Right, is there anything I'm missing?
Nope.
And then you guys are still meeting on Tuesdays, is that when you meet?
We're going to continue to meet at 2:30 every Tuesday, and you know the meetings will change in their nature right now coming up, so because we're going to get this construction schedule going and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get meat and potatoes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So just in closing, I want to say that I was at the Department of Homeland Security meeting in Albany yesterday. Were you on the phone call, Alex? The Boston Marathon part? And one of the things that I think is very important, and this addresses something that Ken brought up the other day, is that we have a very, very strong advocate in the name of John Merklinger. He is the E911 coordinator for Rochester, right?
Monroe County.
Monroe County. And he's also on the NISAC Public Safety Committee, Standing Committee, as the 911 coordinator. And he was the one who brought up the fact that there was a pot of $75 million in round 2, and the amount of money that actually is spent on the wireless phones, that, you know, the tax, is $120 million. So if ever there was a case against trickle-down economics, that's one of them. I'm not going to get into that philosophy, but what ends up happening is out of that pot of $120 million, everyone's having to compete for the 75. So there's, even though it's better, you know, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that 75 is better than 120 million. What I am saying is that now that John Merklinger is on the Department of Homeland Security, there's two committees. One is NISAC, the other is Department of Homeland Security, and he's very vocal. He doesn't mind saying it the way it is, and he says it in such a way that people respond. So we have to keep working on that in terms of, you know, the responsibilities that counties are shouldering when it comes to the financing of it. All righty? Public comment, Ken. You're public. Do you have a comment?
Ken?
It's too early.
Okay, so we can adjourn this meeting. I move to adjourn.
Laura? Jean?
Thank you all for coming at 8.